Good evening. Just more observations from an American living in Germany. Last week, my wife and I went up to Cologne, or as the Americans would say, Cologne, Germany. They have the coolest cathedral there. We went, we stayed one night up there. We walked around. We went to the Bahnhof up there is almost like a shopping mall. The Bahnhof is a train station. I was amazed at how clean the city was. The thing that I didn't like is there was a whole lot of homeless people around there, down around the train station. A lot of beggars, people sitting there with, wanting money in their cup. But we stayed there one night. It was very, very cool. Got to see some things. Then we left there. We went to Aachen, got fuel because we get the discount at the Esso in Germany. Then we went into the Netherlands. A lot of farmland. Didn't see a whole lot. Just drove through it. Then we went to Ghent up in Belgium. That was pretty amazing. Lots of cool stuff up there. Um, Lots of things to do, lots of things to see. The waterfront where the canal comes down and they've got all these little restaurants there. It was so cool to just sit out there and get a drink and watch some of the boats go down the canal, watch the people. Very clean. I didn't think Belgium would be that clean, but it really was. I was amazed at how many people spoke English too. Whenever we went to a restaurant or something, the people detected right away that we spoke English. Apparently, in Belgium, they speak French in the southern portion, Dutch in the northern part, and then something called Flemish, which apparently is like half French and half Dutch. A lot of people speak that. We went to a place called Ypres. We drove down there. Ypres is how you spell it if you want to look it up. And it was a very amazing World War One museum. I could not believe how devastating the trench warfare was in World War One. And of course, the United States waited a long time to get into the war, but the the museum down there is excellent. They have all kinds of exhibits and artifacts, and they have, I guess you could call them placards on the wall. They are written in German, English, French, and I guess Dutch. If you want to learn a lot about what went on in that war to end all wars, little did they know that after the Treaty of Versailles, I don't know how to say it, Versailles, but anyway, they almost set in motion to have a second world war. Um, the Europeans, two wars in 1 century that are within close proximity of each other. That was bad. Um, I also was amazed at how the Australians and even the New Zealanders got involved in the conflict. I didn't even know they had soldiers involved in that. But the United States did wait a long time to get into it. But then again, we waited a long time in World War II. Um, if you're ever in Belgium, I would suggest visiting that. It was a very interesting museum. And right next door to it, they had a cathedral. We went up in the bell tower, and you really got some good photo opportunities from up in there. You could see down into the town. Uh, as part of the museum exhibit, they interviewed two guys who had lightweight aircraft, and they flew over it. And even more than 100 years later, there were still places where the vegetation was different in the places that grew up over the trench warfare. It's hard for us to understand how devastating that must have been to those people. But the Belgians, the French, and the Germans, they were all knee deep into it. Anyway, driving through Belgium was very nice. The highways are good. The speed limit, I believe the maximum limit is 120 kilometers, which is about 74 miles an hour. But the roads seem to be very well maintained. Some of the roads out in the country were a little rough, but it was well maintained. We got around okay. Um, One thing about Belgium, the cost of everything seemed to be a little higher. It costs a lot more to go out to dinner. You get some drinks, it costs more. That area down near the canal was just amazing. I saw so many people, and I heard a lot of non-English. There were people there from India. There were people from the Far East, like Korea, China, Japan. Our hotel was, we stayed in the Marriott, so it was really close by, very convenient to everything. But I was just blown away by how clean it was. I didn't think Belgium would be that clean. Not that I had any reason to think it wouldn't be, but I just pictured Belgium as being dirtier than Germany, and it didn't seem to be that way over there. People were basically minding their own business, having a good time, and the highways were really nice. They did have speed cameras up, but our GPS told us where it was so we could try to avoid it. The only thing is, when we were coming back to Germany, we were about 15 miles outside of where we live, and we had a flat tire. So I had to pull over and put on the baby spare. But it got us through. We had to buy 2 new tires, and I thought that was pretty reasonable. That was back here in Germany. So our car is good to go. But when I drove through the Netherlands, we didn't stop. We just drove through. It seemed like a heck of a lot of farmland. I've heard that the government over there is telling farmers they can't farm and stuff like that. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it sure was beautiful countryside. And you have to go through a little, when you go through, when you leave Aachen and you go into the Netherlands, you're in there maybe 40 minutes before you get to Belgium. We'd like to go back there again someday, but I am so glad we got to see Ghent, Ghent. I think the Belgians call it Gant, but nonetheless, it blew my mind how old these cathedral buildings are and how long ago the society had been in complete existence here. There's a local beer they have called Omer, Omer. I really liked it. It was a Pilsner or a lager, but we got a little 4-pack of it for, you know, €4 or something like that. That was pretty cool. But the next countries we are going to visit will be the UK, and then in the fall we're going to Spain and we're going to Italy. But being an American living over here, it's kind of interesting because as soon as I say something to somebody, they reply to me in perfect English. I'm really blown away by how many people learn English in school. And it's frustrating, some of these people over here speak 4 or 5 languages. I had trouble just learning Spanish. So my hat's off to any European who's multilingual. I really respect that. I guess it's easier to learn when you're a kid. But that's enough rambling for now. It's getting kind of late. It's almost 1 in the morning here, so I need to get my butt to bed. So anyway, this is volume 22.